102 to 105 range. Lows at night in the mid-70s. Some towns will get wet, but there'll be random storms around in the afternoon and evening hours each day. But you know the deal, more towns stay dry than get wet. Stay hydrated. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
We get Montgomery talking 24 hours a day. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Local city councilman that has this saying, woke one was crazy.
Woke one was crazy. Okay, that's
and welcome back, folks. And there's the spin. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Woke one. It was crazy. The stuff we used to say is just, that was crazy, man.
I have a local city councilman that has this saying, woke one was crazy.
Woke one was crazy. Okay, that's
and I think that what's important is that we have to assess what
was it. I mean, did the
candidate
movement go
is
too
saying
far with some of those positions? I mean, you briefly supported the idea of defunding the police.
Well, I think that during this time and especially during COVID, there was a huge opening of the Overton window. We were shut down. There was some of the highest unemployment rates that we have seen because of those shutdowns. Yeah. And I think that the doors were really open in trying to entertain any and every policy that was going to get us to a better place. And I actually think that the discussions that were had in that time were quite fruitful. I think that when we talk about crime today, it's fundamentally different than the way that we talked about crime in bringing crime down, right? And I think that we all share in the goals of having as low a crime rate as possible. I think that,
Oh my God. We had to let crime go crazy for a while so that we could, reorient the way we talk about this stuff. We had to destroy police morale across the nation. Took years to rebuild, especially out of the COVID era. But it was very fruitful. It was very fruitful. Because the way, Trump has brought crime down in D.C., the way it was brought down big time in Memphis of late, the way I imagine Coach Tuberville, once he becomes Governor Tuberville, would like to bring crime down in the capital city. I don't know if it has anything to do with all the defund the police crap y'all were talking about. At all. So look, we've changed and that was crazy, but it wasn't actually crazy. It was actually fruitful the way that we brought all this stuff up. And so you should vote for us.
During lockdown, of course, rhetoric in that time is not rhetoric that we would use today. And I'm grateful that these candidates have the opportunity to present who they are to their electorate and what they're campaigning on in this moment.
Maybe I take back what I've been saying. Let them run. You listen to this and you're like, who's buying this? Now, there's maybe a mistake in there. But this is the best you got. This is the heavy hitter. This is the person that's going to go up against J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio. Or even Ron DeSantis is running for president in 2028. So again, they can run away from the past statements, but it's still the same. And it stays the same. And in fact, the playbook stays the same, folks. And it's kind of remarkable how the playbook is unchanged in a lot of ways. This is a former KGB agent, Yuri Bezimov. He explains how they plan to destroy America via ideological subversion. Now, of course, the Soviet Union is gone. Kaput. They thought they were subverting us. We subverted them with, blue jeans and prayer. Blue jeans, Coca-Cola, and prayer. Just go look at the countries that were formerly under the Iron Curtain and how much they now maintain a, religious point of view, especially Poland, for instance. But this idea that Bezimov is going to explain in this interview, it's not gone away. The playbook has not gone away at all. In fact, if you want to remake a country, if you want to fundamentally transform a country, you probably are going to follow something like this playbook. So let's listen in together. Again, this is former KGB agent Yuri Bezimov. And this is from 1984, I believe, is when the interview takes place. Let's hear what he has to say.
Ivanov was born in 1939 in a suburb of Moscow. He was the son of a high-ranking Soviet Army officer. He was educated in the elite schools inside the Soviet Union and became an expert in Indian culture and Indian languages. He had an outstanding career with Novosti, which was and still is, I should say, the press arm or the press agency of the Soviet Union. It turns out that this is also a front for the KGB. He escaped to the West in 1970 after becoming totally disgusted with the Soviet system, and he did this at great risk to his life. Mm-hmm. He certainly is one of the world's outstanding experts on the subject of Soviet propaganda and disinformation and active measures. Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets use the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate 1 generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism.
And again, if you think this is over the top, go listen to a lot of these socialist candidates. And this would be a huge irony of history. Because, again, Ronald Reagan stares down the evil empire. The evil empire falls, much to the surprise of many American academics and American elite, who, and I suspect, were either making excuses for or carrying the water for the Soviet Union. They wanted the socialist project despite all the excesses. And this is the constant game they do. Where, yeah, I mean, the Holodomor was really bad, and we're sorry that our man in Moscow covered it up at the time. 10 million people dead in Ukraine from a organized famine? Well, I mean, that's not what we really mean by true socialism. So, like, if we just tried it in a very American way, maybe, but, you know, we'll say that, yes, that, in fact, was awful what Stalin and team did. We'll say that, yeah, they went too far in this fashion or this form. And in fact, we'll say even of American leftists, they went too far in this form or fashion. The problem is, and maybe it's more obvious now that they're saying we're socialist, but for the longest time, progressive was a term used by, yeah, your normal liberal could say, I'm a progressive, because it sounds cool, and I like progress. But then progressive was also used by literal communists in the United States for years on end. And it's that confusion, that question of who owns that ideological label that really wins the day. Now, in our country, the managerial class won, the professional class won, the folks that run HR departments, the folks that run advertising firms, the folks that run the big media corporations, the folks that ran the schools, still run the schools at the university level down to K through 12. And that brings me back to Bezimov's point. Again, he's saying this in 1984. A huge irony would be that, yes, the Soviet Union fell. The evil empire was stood up to by Ronald Reagan, and it falls. And somehow, in the midst of that fallout, there wasn't some loose nuke or some crazy thing that happened in the 90s. But it would be a huge irony that even though the Soviet Union fell, the fruits of the rotten seeds planted by Soviet subversive programs ideological subversion or active measures, as you just heard Bezmov say, are still bearing fruit, even though the old communist empire is dead. And you got to wonder how much of it is still being encouraged by current communist regimes, say China. How much is it being encouraged by the new Russian Federation, though some would say they're more hoping to push on the right side of the aisle. I think, honestly, both Russia and China and anybody who's for and trying to influence is playing both sides of the aisle against one another. That's at least what I would do. But I find it fascinating that these ideological subversion and active measures didn't go away even though the Soviet Union fell. The seeds were planted, and we're now seeing the legacy of these sorts of measures. So let's keep going with this interview. Let's hear more from Yuri.
American patriotism. The demoralization process in the United States is basically completed already. For the last 25 years, actually it's overfulfilled because demoralization now reaches such areas where previously not even Comrade Andropov and all his experts would even dream of such a tremendous success. Most of it is done by Americans to Americans, thanks to lack of moral standards. As I mentioned before, exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him. Even if I shower him with information, with authentic proof, with documents, with pictures, even if I take him by force to the Soviet Union and show him concentration camp, he will refuse to believe it until he is going to receive a kick in his fat bottom. When a military boot crashes his balls, then he will understand, but not before that. That's the tragic of the situation of demoralization. The next stage is destabilization. This time, subverter does not care about your ideas and the patterns of your consumption. Whether you eat junk food and get fat and flabby, doesn't matter anymore. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation, what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. And you can see it quite clearly that in some areas, in such sensitive areas as defense and economy, the influence of Marxist-Leninist ideas in the United States is absolutely fantastic. I could never believe it 14 years ago when I landed in this part of the world that the process will go that fast. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. You can see it in Central America now.
So first step, demoralization. That takes the longest. Then destabilization. Then crisis.
And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. Your leftists in United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. But they may turn into the most bitter enemies of Marxist-Leninists when they come to power. And that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember most of these former Marxist-Leninists were either put to prison or one of them split and now he's working against Sandinistas. It happened in Grenada when Maurice Bishop was already a Marxist. He was executed by a new Marxist who was more Marxist than this Marxist. Same happened in Afghanistan when first there was Taraki, he was killed by Amin, then Amin was killed by Babrak Karmal with the help of KGB. Same happened in Bangladesh when Mujibur Rahman, very pro-Soviet leftist, was assassinated by his own Marxist-Leninist military comrades. It's the same pattern everywhere. The time bomb is ticking. With every second, the disaster
is coming. So let me try to translate that into what's happening today, especially that last part. That's a lot of different names and places and political history that I personally don't even know. He was acting like, well, everybody, of course, knows about the histories of the socialist regimes and the reactions to gaining power and all the splintering. But even Bezimov himself in the 80s, all the way back then, was saying demoralization was already being done by Americans to Americans. So even though the Soviet Union has fell, it's still going on. The ideological seeds have been planted. And even though China might encourage it, other governments, foreign governments might encourage it to certain advantages, it's mostly Americans doing this to Americans. And though there is an element on the right of wanting to demoralize because we don't trust the institutions anymore, so yeah, we want to demoralize your trust so that we can build something new based on the traditions, not the takeover by the left. It has been the left that has controlled the institutions. Like I said earlier, universities, elite media, entertainment, major foundations, K through 12 curriculum development, corporate HR compliance. Faculty ideology data in, say, academia consistently shows extreme imbalances, often 5 to 10 to 1 or worse left to right social sciences, humanities, and public policy schools. Critical theory derivatives, identity frameworks, and equity doctrines, we've heard plenty about the DEI stuff, function as the operational ideology. They treat traditional American narratives like the founders or the Constitution or a merit-based society or colorblindness, content of character. There are two sexes. There should be national cohesion. Well, they treat all that as the problem to be dismantled rather than an inheritance to be improved. There are a lot of practical effects to all this. But, you know, that one thing he said at the end is fascinating, how it could apply. And this is where, like, these people on the left and Democrats are being too cute by half. And I would say people on the right need to be worried about anybody that's playing this inside-outside game where they say something inside the house and then they moderate outside. That you think you can keep the crazies in the basement. You think you can keep the radicals on the leash. You'll use them. Well, you'll use them all right. You'll use them to get elected. You know, it's fascinating, though, that there is still divide within that very camp. For instance, it isn't a natural alliance you would think on paper to see, say, Islamic communities, Muslims teaming up with the blue-haired trans folks. That's just not, you wouldn't expect that for all sorts of reasons. But this alliance is being built between progressives and, say, the Muslim world. They're trying to build this coalition of, say, people of color and anybody who's not, say, Christian. But the fascinating thing is when you look in just the left wing, say they really do gain power. You got to wonder who's going to turn on whom and who actually rises to the top if they are truly able to destabilize things. And I think this was the plan. You want to talk about crisis? What do you think COVID was? Demoralization, destabilization, crisis, and normalization. Now, did they get as much as they wanted out of the crisis? But you just heard AOC say, well, our rhetoric was back different during the lockdowns. Yeah, during the crisis, our rhetoric was different. Because during the crisis, you can make people march in the streets and destroy things en masse in the name of what? Defunding the police. And then you can have the people who play the moderate game, say on CNN and the elite media, saying, well, it's a mostly peaceful protest as this building behind me burns to the ground. So we've been going through this. And you got to ask yourself, what has been normalized from the COVID era? A lot. What's been normalized from the bank bailouts in 2008? A lot. And right now, the thing that's really happening is it's not about the issues. The issues have become the thing that the average American kind of hopes will be solved, like affordability. But really, the game between right and left is this power struggle. Who is going to be on top for generations because they have structurally won the game? Now, I could still want to solve everyday problems for people. The two go hand in hand. But it's a heck of a thing that these ideas don't go away. As much as you saw the Berlin Wall fall, it doesn't go away. As much as you thought in the 90s we won the Cold War, these ideas don't go away. We'll see what happens in November during the general election. But 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. That's 334-272-9228. Let's go to line 2. You're on there. Who's this?
Yes, this is Joe.
Hey, Joe. How you doing?
Good show.
Thanks, man.
I'm on speakerphone because my phone's broke, but I'll make it real quick. It should be pointed out that the communist Soviet ideology, it was exported from the 1830s Marxist European ideology.
Hmm?
It
Oh,
didn't start in
absolutely.
Russia. It started in Europe.
It started in Europe, and then it found early seeds in America. I think,
And funded by
yeah.
the globalists. Then.
Yeah, you look at like the turn of the 20th century, the way I've heard it put is a lot of the bombs were being funded by American elite to kill the Russian Tsar. Like there are a lot of Americans who were all for the cause, and because they're rich, because they're Americans, they were not just in Russia, but all around the world trying to motivate it.
And Europe influenced them with our Federal Reserve System, with the people they put in office. Europe has been active in socialism a long time, even 1830s.
And, you know, recently I just saw, too, it was a great clip by Bishop Robert Barron that Marxism, in particular if you look at Marx, there's this just resentful demonic element to him. Beyond all the economic conversation and the workers of the world and the materialism and all this, there's this deep resentment that no wonder it ended up with the bloodbaths that Lenin brought about and Mao brought about. It's kind of right there at its roots.
Yes. And they used Marx to do their bylaws during the Second Reich when they came out of the Holy Roman Empire.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, Joe, and I appreciate the call. And I don't know. We're just going to have to keep on the lookout because it does seem like we're going through that process over and over and over again in this country.
Good show, though.
Thank you, sir. 272-9228. Let's go to line 3. You're on there. Is this?
Hey, this is Stuart Bankersley.
Hey, Doc. How are you?
Good. How are y'all doing?
Oh, life's all right.
Great show again today.
Thank
Good
you, sir.
job. So tomorrow is the election with Hampton Harris and
Yes.
Rhett Markey and those guys. I think that if we want to continue down the road we've been on, that's what I learned even more about than ever on the campaign trail earlier this year is why do we expect to change if we have somebody like Markey win again? I mean, Angie Horn is his campaign manager, and she's just we're going to get more of the same if we elect these people that want to play this game that's already destroying our country. I mean, one of the things I brought out on the campaign trail is that this year it came out that the average American pays more in health care premiums every month than they do their mortgage.
Wow.
This insanity that people have been dealing with, that's why we have such low confidence in our government. That's why we have such low voter turnout. Doesn't matter what I do, we're going to continue to go down the path that these people in charge want us to go down for their benefit.
Yeah, and it seems like at a certain point you realize they're not trying to solve the problem. Mistakes of this magnitude are not made innocently.
That's right. And so I just think that I've never met Markey. I don't I don't know him as an individual, but he just seems to represent the same old.
You know, I interviewed
Yes,
Rhett a couple weeks back, and I don't know. To me, he seems like the standard business owner who became a Republican. I would prefer somebody that's going to see what time it is, more so than just play for the team. I don't think Rhett's a radical. I think he's more going to be one of those guys who plays for the team. Now, later in the show, we're going to have Dick Brubaker on it, too. And we're going to get deep into this particular race for the new District 2. Also, right at 2 o'clock, Case Dixon's going to call in. He's challenging Gary Palmer in District 6. So, folks, just that reminder, thank you for it, Doc, that August 11th, tomorrow, get out and vote in these special primaries.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you. 272-9228. Let's go to line 1. You're on there. Who's this?
Excuse me. My name's Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie.
Excuse me, Joey. But I just wanted to comment on what you was just talking about.
Yeah.
The caller prior to your last caller, I agree 100% with him. And one of the problems is, I believe, in my opinion, is people with platforms, whether national, local, statewide, whatever kind of platform.
Mm-hmm.
The Marxists, the Marxist people, you know, I'm saying people who believe that Marxism is a better way to go. They're very intelligent, and they're working toward their goal, and they've been working toward it for a long time. But the threat and the danger to this country comes from these Marxists. But the reason that they have been able to gain territory, so to speak, or one of the reasons, that people with platforms in this country hardly ever name these people what they are. I'm talking about using the word Marxist.
Sure.
What do people do? They use words like progressive, people on the left.
Yeah. No, they soften. They go by the very soft language the Marxists would like them to use.
Well, they do that intentionally.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I would say, man, it's worse than that.
goal.
I would say it's worse than that.
It is worse. You're right.
There's a lot of folks who do it unintentionally, which I think is worse than do it intentionally.
Well,
because it's just the
I don't know about that, but the Marxists are smart, deceitful people, and they are inspired by Satan, and that'll clue you in where they get this strategy from. Satan himself.
Though I think they're weaker than they've ever been.
Thanks a lot, Joey.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. And I think they're weaker than they've been. Because you heard in that Bezimov saying that clip, Walter Mondale. It really used to be, folks, the big three networks could present themselves as completely professional. And that's the thing. The group that won in the left, say the new left of the 60s, the groups that really won the argument within the Democratic Party back then were not the radicals throwing bombs on the streets. They lost. That form of revolution in America lost. What succeeded? Watergate succeeded. What succeeded is, well, Reagan's still going to get elected, and Clinton's still going to pretend to be moderate, and we'll balance the budget, and George W. Bush will get elected, but what do we have? The long march through the institutions. Where instead of being radicals dropping bombs, making bombs in the streets, instead of the direct action and the participatory democracy, all these different things. Oh, protest. A little bit of that would still always exist, but what really won were the professionals. In fact, some people that used to make the bombs and raise hell in the streets decided, you know what, we did lose. This strategy didn't, at least this tactic didn't work for our larger grand strategy, so let's become professionals. Let's become managers. As to the last caller's point, they're very smart. And for a long time, they were able to say, Walter Mondale isn't crazy. He's a very professional, neutral broadcaster. Your professor isn't crazy. He's a very professional man of history. He understands his history. He's what's the other word for it? He's an expert when it comes to the medical science. He's Dr. Tony Fauci. He's been there for decades. He's an expert. He's a professional. And this is what's fascinating. As the trust in that sort of thing, the expert, the professional class, has just completely gone into the toilet. This is why you've had Trump twice. You're starting to see the rise back up of the folks that want to take it to the streets. Not to sound like Michael McDonald when he was still with the Doobie Brothers. So it's an incredible dynamic right now. And you only got to wonder, with our new technology, I don't think it's going to be the professional class that's going to be able to keep the lid on things, or even the moneyed class that's going to be able to keep a lid on things, which most billionaires and really rich folks are Democrats. And I don't know, some of them are radical, but I don't know if they're going to be able to keep the lid on what's percolating on the left. It seems like the era of the professional, of the experts, over. You're getting back to the era of, well, the influencer on the ground, demanding direct action. We'll see who wins this time around. Again, 272-9228. Got to hit a quick break here. We'll be right back after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
In August, buy any large pizza at Pizza Perfect and get any medium pizza for just $2. Pizza Perfect's buffet includes pizza as well as spaghetti, breadsticks, salad, dessert, and drink for only $13. $12 for seniors, first responders, and military. The buffet is available Monday through Saturday for lunch and for dinner on Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. Pizza Perfect is also available for pickup and delivery. Any medium pizza is just $2 with the purchase of a large at Pizza Perfect on Coliseum Boulevard in Eastbrook.
If it concerns your community, you'll hear about it on News Talk 93.1. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. This part of the program brought to you by Pest Pro Services, and they're at Pest Pro. Ashley and that great team are ready to help you with any and all of your pest control needs. Of course, if you're just looking for a great local company that gives back, that really understands it's about helping community members, providing great service, yes, but also making sure the community's taken care of on top of that. Well, that's Pest Pro Services. And really the best selling point for them is their success. What do I mean? They started in 2020 with few folks, Ashley and just a couple dudes. And they've grown leaps and bounds. They got trucks all over the river region servicing folks to get rid of pests all over the place. And so when you see a company gain that sort of success, that sort of growth, it shows you just how good they are at providing that service. I love it. I saw a truck right there in County Downs as I was driving over here to the studio today. It's beautiful to see, well, success. And so if you're looking for just great pest control services, like a basic package, it's a monthly subscription model where you can control costs over the year, and they show up on a regular basis. Most of the time, don't even have to come inside. And then you can add on to that things like termite inspection and protection, mosquito protection. Right now, it's been hairy out there when it comes to mosquitoes. If you want to actually enjoy your property, enjoy your backyard, your front porch, or maybe you like to walk a big old piece of the land, well, they can get rid of those mosquitoes for you. And of course, they can also do things like wildlife control services, like the squirrels in your attic or something. So check them out today. That's Pest Pro Services. You can always learn more at ppsriverregion.com or just search Pest Pro Services on the Book of Faces or call them direct, 265-9990. That's 265-9990. And be sure to tell them that Joey, that fella on the radio, sent you. Coming up here in just a moment, we will have Alan Mendenhall. Always look forward to our conversations. And in particular, I read Alan's piece this morning, and it had me singing a Billy Madison song. If y'all are of that generation, back to school, to show Dad I'm not a fool. Now, I think Alan's experience sending his kids back to school is a little more wholesome than Billy Madison. But I was singing it all morning. Anyway, we'll be right back. More after this.
Joey Clark. Joey Clark. Joey Clark. Joey Clark. You're listening to Joey Clark.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. At least 69 people have been killed and dozens of buildings have been destroyed in cities across western Colombia after a powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake struck the South American country. The quake said to have had its epicenter about 66 miles underground and in the central part of the country. It caused serious damage to buildings as far away as Bogota. At a celebration of a year of changed food policies at the FDA in Washington, HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. said the amount of additives to food allowed in America was out of hand before he took over at the helm. They proposed a new rule change that would require manufacturers to notify regulators before introducing new ingredients or additives into processed or packaged foods. It's been a rough session on Wall Street amid rising oil prices. That has stock values a little depressed right now. The Dow is down 130. This is SRN News.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. Christian Healthcare Ministries is not another health insurance policy. If you're tired of year-long contracts and pointless restrictions, CHM offers anytime enrollment on your schedule and at your convenience. With CHM, you're paying half the cost of a traditional health insurance plan. So that puts more money back into your budget for everyday needs. Plus, you'll have access to CHM's care solutions for virtual appointments, prescription savings, surgery support, and more. My family and I joined in 2018, and it's changed our lives for the better. We love paying way less while helping other believers afford their medical bills. Take the leap of faith and see why Christians across the nation are better with CHM.
Get started by calling 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS for a 50% credit towards your first month. That's 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by Victoryland.
Giveaways galore all summer long. Diamond Days Diamond Jewelry Giveaway and TV Tuesdays TV Giveaway with $185,000 in free play at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino off I-85 exit 22 Shorter, Alabama.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Get ready for another hot one today with a sun and cloud mix. High temperatures headed for the mid-90s, but with high humidity, expect the heat index today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and the rest of the week to be in the 102 to 105 range. Lows at night in the mid-70s. Some towns will get wet, but there'll be random storms around in the afternoon and evening hours each day. But you know the deal. More towns stay dry than get wet. Stay hydrated. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, here's today's top stories. Alabama voters will go to the polls tomorrow for a special primary election. The primary is for Alabama's United States House races in Districts 1, 2, 6, and 7. District 2 covers Lowndes, Macon, Montgomery, and parts of Elmore County. There will be no runoff in these races. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Tuesday. A fugitive from Arizona has been captured in Elmore County. Dion Vaughns was taken into custody near the intersection of Highway 143 and Marion Spillway Road. Agents with the Department of Corrections K-9 Division assisted the United States Marshals Fugitive Task Force in the arrest. Vaughns was wanted on an outstanding aggravated assault warrant in Mesa, Arizona. Health officials are urging beachgoers to take precautions during a surge in infections from a flesh-eating bacteria. Florida has reported 14 Vibrio vulnificus cases and 2 deaths so far this year. Vibrio bacteria can enter the body through unhealed cuts and scrapes, recent piercings, tattoos, and surgical incisions. From the Blue Water Broadcasting News Center, I'm Sky Mosley.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Man, everything costs more these days. Yep. That's why we need people like Rhett Marcus. He cut $1.5 billion in taxes.
Wait, $1.5 billion? That's a big deal. Didn't President Trump and Senator Katie Britt endorse him?
Uh-huh, they sure did.
Sounds like Rhett's the right man for Alabama.
I'll be voting for him on August 11th.
Me too.
I'm Rhett Marcus, the Trump-endorsed candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Red for Alabama.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
You're listening to Joey Clark. Joey Clark. It's Joey Clark.
Welcome back, folks. And without further ado, as he joins us every other Monday at 1 o'clock, Alan Mendenhall on the show. Alan, how are you, kind sir?
I'm really good. I want some of that theme music. Like when I come on, I want like an Alan Mendenhall song. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, I bet I could add just your name to the AI prompt and I'll come up with something. So it's Joey Clark and Alan Mendenhall.
Oh, gosh. Well, I might regret that, but.
So you were taking me back down my own memory lane. Reading your op-ed or your column, I would say essay, beautiful essay, out today at 1819 News, folks. It's called Back to School. And really, it's a great story about how I say your own kids going back to school made you reflect on the shift in, say, your responsibility as a parent. Pretty beautiful movie, and I encourage people to read it. But one thing that really struck me is the how your life used to come in these schedules. Like where for you, I think it was the majors and the PGA. But I do remember this feeling you talk about where fall kicks in, it's back to school time, and that felt like the start of the new year for me, not January 1st or anything like that.
Yeah, my whole life has sort of been around the academic calendar rather than the January through December calendar. I'm still on it. It feels as if the year starts in August and ends in May, and then there are like 3 months up in the air in between. And but yeah, I kind of measured it, as I say in the piece, by golf, because really it wasn't spring until the Masters. I just loved the Masters. I loved the music. I loved watching it. I love the colors and the green and the azaleas. And then I liked when the PGA was the last major. I really don't like that they've moved the PGA up to number 2. It just doesn't seem right. It cuts the summer short for me. But yeah, that was my liturgical calendar as a kid. Right before you went back to school, it was like the week, 2 weeks before, you just dreaded it. But then the weekend before, maybe even the night before, you were really excited. My mom used to take us shopping, and as lame as that sounds, I was excited to have my new binders and my new notebooks and everything. I was ready to go. But back when we were kids, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have social media. And so you didn't see your friends for like 3 months. I mean, there were some friends that you saw all the time, but I went to a really big public school. I think I graduated with like 800 kids in my class. So I went to a really big school. And when we came back from the summer, man, so many people looked different. People got taller. Some girls that hadn't been attractive were all of a sudden bombshells. And, some people that were like skateboarders last year came back and they were preppy this year. And, you just never knew what you were going to get. People would change over the summer.
Yeah, and in some ways I long for those days as much as it was so, I'm a hopeless romantic. I'm a bit of a melancholic individual. And so, I mean, I was almost like quoting Morris Day leaning across the table in Purple Rain to Apollonia. I'm going to make you love me. Like that. This is the year I'm going to get her to notice me, Alan. This is the year. And like you'd go in with all these, if I just like succeed in JV football, she's going to notice. And it just brought back all these waves of how now I think my life's been based on the news cycle in the political calendar and like election cycle until recently, going back to church. It's better to be on the liturgical calendar, folks. But I would take the old, like going back to school calendar and those cycles over, say, the news and the elections that we're holding.
Well, a couple things you said that are funny. First, you referenced Morris Day. When I was in private practice, we actually sued him. Our law firm sued him, and I had a paralegal who had him served. I guess the paralegal didn't serve him personally, but the paralegal had him served as he was going up to a concert in Vegas. And that was a very interesting moment. I remember he called and said, I'm sorry, I can't pay this, whatever. And then the paralegal said, Mr. Day, we know who you are. He said, you do? He said, yeah. And he said, all right, how much is it? And he wrote a check right there and got the lawsuit to go away. But yeah, when the whole going back to school thing, then the impress the girl, I so remember that because until I had my high school girlfriend, I really struggled to get the girls. And I remember reading Cyrano de Bergerac and thinking, that's it. That's me. I'm Cyrano. Because my nose was the same size then as it is now, but I was just so thin. So I've got a pretty big beak as it is now. But back then it was just really, really big. And so I was like, I'm Cyrano de Bergerac. I'm like this poet. And if I could just write to these women, they would love me. And
oh, yeah. And then, then occasionally it works. Like most of the time people are like, go away, you weirdo. But then that one time, it's worth it. It's completely worth it. And I don't know, I want to get into this idea though of how you watching your kids. How old are they now? The two?
Well, I've got 14, 12, and 2.
Oh, wow. Okay.
14 and 12 are from marriage 1 and 2 is from marriage 2. So that's
3
why
kids.
That's a big age gap. But yeah, three kids, and the older 2 have assumed parental responsibilities in many ways over the youngest.
Yeah, and so that's got to be a big help. My brother's going through the toddler years with my niece, and I'm like, have more of them, and just have Lucy look after the younger ones when she grows older. But them going back to school, I guess because of the different ages, brings back different times of you going back, but it really shifted your idea of your role as a parent.
Yeah, it did. So I started reflecting on the fact that Noah, being 14, will turn 15 here in November. He was actually born on Thanksgiving Day, 2011, which doesn't seem like very long ago, but he'll get his learner's permit and then he'll be driving. And thinking about that fact took me back. In the essay, I organized this differently, but in my mind, the way I arrived at the story of going on the school bus was thinking about my son driving and how I was driven to school in the school bus the first day of kindergarten. And my mom had recently told me that story, so it was sort of fresh on my mind. But soon he'll be taking the bus to school. Now my daughter is sort of doing parental responsibility, helping me look out for my kids. And so it's a little bit of like letting go and becoming the passenger. I'm no longer in control over these 2 older children. They very much are their own autonomous humans. In some ways, they've been really great kids their entire lives. They've been very motivated. I've never once had to tell them to do their homework. They just do it. But now that they are becoming more adult and I'm seeing them act more adult-like, we can have real conversations, like real grown-up conversations. We don't have to go to the kitchen table and be like, let's play the country game. Which country starts with C that I'm thinking of? And you're like, I don't know, Cambodia, China. I don't know. And you get through dinner playing all these little games. But now you can actually talk about things like, I don't know, my son was weighing in on tariffs the other night. And I was like, what the heck? Are you where are you getting that? But we can talk Auburn football. We can talk school. We can talk career. And so that's really a relief. Now, on the other hand, they won't go anywhere in public with me anymore. And I love going out to dinner. I love going out. It's like my favorite thing to do. And if I have no one to go out to dinner with, I want to go out to dinner with them. Like, let's go to blah, blah, blah. These restaurants I haven't tried. And they're like, no way. If we go out to dinner, someone might actually see us with you. And I'm like, and like, is that the worst thing in the world? Like, you're my son, you're my daughter. Like, it shouldn't be shocking that you would be out to dinner with me, but they're not going to do it.
Yeah, dad's never cool. For a little while, but that is it brought back for me at least. I look forward to it with my niece. Maybe I'll have kids myself one day. But I remember uncle conversations I would have when I was younger, and when I hit that age about your son like you have especially the uncle who's like really into like music of the 70s, man, and like you can just download Steely Dan right into your ears. Like every Steely Dan album and all sorts of other things. And then it would go into politics and it would go into religion. It would go into so many different areas. And that's the point I'm looking forward to, where I can really hold that conversation. Though the games are fun, I suppose.
Yeah, I can't quite get them into the same movies. I was like, guys, let's watch some Clint Eastwood films. And they're like, what? Yeah. So then I tried to like get him to watch some Woody Allen films, and they're like, this is just not what we're going to do. I'm sorry. Like, well, will y'all at least go see the Odyssey with me? Like, nope, but we'll go with our friends. We'd rather see Spider-Man.
Man, the one I remember vividly is my Uncle Greg, my dad's older brother, saying, do I want to watch The Sting? And incredible movie. I will always remember that one, and the other one. That's a lesser movie, but because of the memory, I love it still. Is Let It Ride with Richard Dreyfuss.
I haven't seen that.
It's about a problem gambler who ends up having a very good day. It's actually pretty fun movie, but nothing compared to The Sting. I don't know. I love your policy stuff, Alan. I really do. But I am really enjoying these heartfelt, reflective family true essays, and it's something that 1819 News, I believe, allows us to do. We can put it on Substack or anywhere on the internet these days, but to see like, hey, in an opinion page, it's not just facts, figures, change this policy, which you do plenty of. It's also like, no, I think a lot of people relate to these seasons of life, so to speak.
Well, I am very grateful to 1819 for allowing us to write these kinds of essays too. Of course, it doesn't really require any research when it's your own life. You just remember things and put them down. Whereas a lot of my policy work, I have to go like look up statutes and then see if there are any lawsuits that have involved any cases involving, and they require some work. And then of course, Heritage Foundation has a one voice policy. So anytime I write about policy, it has to go through all of our processes and procedures before it can get out the door. And some weeks, if I wait until Wednesday and my piece is due on Friday, it may not be getting through that one voice process in time. So sometimes it's nice to just pivot and not do policy every week.
Well, it's nice to know that even at the Heritage Foundation, bureaucracy can sometimes be the enemy.
Yeah, and it's for good reason. The way we're one of the advocacy think tanks. We're not like American Enterprise Institute, where all the academics have pure academic freedom. It's not like that's more of like a university without students is the way I've heard those types of think tanks described, because they're basically just to produce research, where we produce research, but we also do advocacy. So we can't undermine some positions that we're taking with other positions. And so we have to sort of make our positions uniform, and there's a process to ensure that happens.
Now, and last week you doubled down on it. Alabama's not alone in its racial quotas for public boards. You did a piece even weeks back about how there really are racial quotas still across so many seats in government. And you're calling on the legislature here in this upcoming session, I'm guessing the brand new State House, to actually address this.
Yeah, well, I found that doubling down on issues has worked so far this year. It worked with some of the region's bank pieces. It worked with the ABA accreditation in the state bar and the Alabama Supreme Court. And so I figured I'd double down on this one. And I have heard from a senator, and I think that this issue will be addressed in the next session. So that's exciting. In the meantime, if anybody wants to file a lawsuit, I can probably help them find the right attorneys for that.
And for those who weren't paying attention when we last talked about this, What do we mean by racial quotas? Like just a few examples in some of these positions.
Yeah, well, there's certain boards and commissions that say you have to have X number of African American members, or this many members as representative of this particular diversity, like these types of diversity quotas. And basically that is on its face racially discriminatory. And people think, well, this is a different type of racial discrimination because it's meant to remedy past injustice. But as I said to you maybe a couple weeks ago when we were talking about this, the problem is once the law is no longer neutral, once it says, okay, we're going to pick this race or pick that race or favor this, then it's tough to say where that ends. How much discrimination is enough to get to the problem fixed? Who decides how much discrimination is enough? Who decides which groups get discriminated against and which don't? And it just opens up a lot of messiness. Whereas if it's just neutral, if people are treated as people and not based on surface level characteristics, which are immutable and you can't choose them, then the law works so much better neutrally in that way. So that's the thing. We don't want race-based discrimination embedded in the law, no matter what type it is.
Again, folks, we're talking to Alan Mendenhall. You can always find his work at 1819 News Monday mornings, his columns, but of course you can also find him at alanmendenhall.com.
That's right.
And of course he is there with the Heritage Foundation. Now, I want to bring you into a little bit of what I was talking about in the first hour. I played this old interview from 1984 by the former Soviet Yuri Bezimov talking about ideological subversion or active measures. And it struck me listening to that very old interview, the process of demoralization, destabilization, crisis, normalization, he said were the cycles, but demoralization being the longest period. It's almost like even though the Soviet Union's dead, a lot of the seeds the Soviets planted over the years are still in full bloom here in the United States of America. And I don't know, I kick back and forth how strong are the socialists and the communists right now, because I almost think, like, especially a little earlier before than like when you and I are going to, say, elementary school, middle school, high school, college, I think the socialists won the game by being the professional class, that long march through the institutions. So it's almost like Walter Mondale could present himself as this neutral professional reporter. But, you know, it's funny, that clip, Bezimov calls out Walter Mondale directly. Excuse me, Mondale, the guy. I'm thinking of Cronkite. Pardon me. But my point is, it seems like decades ago, the left and the radicals of the left could present themselves as experts and professionals. Now they're just coming out and saying we're socialists. So is this them showing strength, or is this them showing like, well, we kind of lost our old strongholds. Let's start over again with active measures?
Yeah, well, I think so. Marxism has been, as you mentioned, participating in this long march through the institutions for a long time. And the classical Marxism of Marx and Engels didn't ever get realized in the sense that the proletariat never rose up against the capitalists and overthrew them and realized that sort of Marxist teleology. So a lot of critical theorists in the 20th century tried to reconfigure Marxism along cultural lines. And so you have Marcuse and Adorno and Gramsci and you name it. There are a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And they introduced this tradition in humanities scholarship that really pulled race, sexuality, gender through these Marxist prisms and created a new sort of construct that, rather than having it be proletariat capitalist, you had categories that were basically oppressed and oppressor. And you could squeeze all kinds of people through these new binaries. And that would be, you know, any sort of marginalized group on the basis of race could be in the oppressed. But this framework really played on people's sense of grievance and victimization. And it created a culture of victimization. And now you have people who are adopting Marxist ideas without really even being aware that that's what they're doing. It's a residual Marxism. So it's not just the express out and out Marx Engels kind of theory. It's just different permutations of Marxism, new manifestations of Marxism. But another troubling aspect is a lot of young people are attracted to it. Young people are in a rough spot. I mean, they've been given a tough economy, legitimately, not their fault. But a lot of young people aren't aware that, socialism and communism killed over 100 million people. To me, socialism and communism stands for gulags and mass arrests and forced collectivization and killing fields and re-education camps, censorship, secret police, travel restrictions on religious worship, a lot of things that sound like COVID and pandemic. But, but yeah, I mean, socialism and communism are destructive ideologies. And this idea that there would be some sort of pure equality all the way across the board is a fantasy. There will always be a small, coercive, controlling group to try to ensure that uniformity, that standardization across the board, to hold the other people down, and it will be concentrated power.
Well, and it's one thing to use economic equality, where you've got to centralize all power in Moscow, and if 10 million Ukrainians are killed in the Holodomor, well, as Walter Duranty says, they're just tightening their belts. So be it. So you can see even with the economic stuff, you get these horrendous things. But when you start having the more cultural aspects, to your point about how they decided to, instead of it being the proletariat versus the capitalist, it ends up being people of color against white, or LGBTQ plus blah, blah, blah against straight people. All the, say, traditional norms that maybe are, say, Judeo-Christian, you start to see, like, hey, let's reallocate the resources. But to make the point clearer, it gets even more absurd because, there is a history of race in America, and there is some good arguments to be had about past discrimination and why these laws are in Alabama's books, for instance. But you start to see the game afoot when it gets absurd in, like, the sense of, well, skinny people are the oppressors and fat people are oppressed. So we need fat activism.
Yeah.
I'm not making it up, folks.
That's a real thing. And a great example of this is to look at the teacher training materials at the Smithsonian Institution. The Southern Poverty Law Center was behind some of these. I don't know whether it was behind this particular one, but there's one that talks about how a sign of nefarious whiteness is the scientific method, the Protestant work ethic, promptness, being on time. That's absurd. Could you imagine saying the scientific method is a sign of white supremacy? That's just outrageous.
No, it's insane. And I always think back to it. It was a great, one of the nationalist conservative conferences. It was Glenn Lowry gave a speech where he said, I'm a black man, I am an African American, but Shakespeare is mine. Mozart is mine. Like this idea that because of your race or even your heritage, you can't glob onto and take as your own the very wonderful legacies we've inherited, including our faith. It just seems crazy to me, but it always seems to come back to that. And one thing you said, I was getting at earlier too, I think there are a lot of folks that aren't conscious of this. So when you call them a Marxist or a commie or something, they're like, what are you talking about, man? It's sort of just in the water.
It may not be an insult to them. The other thing is when I hear people criticizing Western Civ and saying, as if it were just some pure white thing, I'm like, gosh, the cradle of Western civilization over there in the Middle East and in Upper Egypt. And, you read about the Old Testament patriarchs, and I can guarantee you they didn't look Swiss. They weren't Nordic looking, they had dark skin.
Yeah, just a bit. And it's, I don't know, but this kind of bottom line is where I'm pondering it, and I don't think anybody necessarily has a good answer. It does seem like there's this game of the professional class who have been running the Democrats for a long time are now realizing, because we've sucked now. Like we had Tony Fauci and everybody's seen through us. Now you're seeing this ascendant Mondami and AOC and many others, and they're trying to use the same old professional class tactics. I don't think it's going to work for them. Now, what does this mean for general elections? I don't know. I think AOC's weak. But down the road, this idea that you're going to see sort of the Tip O'Neill Democrat or these folks that are sort of holding on, I just don't think that's even going to exist anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you can look at a bunch of candidates like this Abdul El Sayed guy, and I mean, there are a ton of them. Claire Valdez, Donovan McKinney, even Brad Lander in New York. I've been dealing with his kind of shenanigans on the ESG front for years, but these are very, very progressive socialist candidates. And to me, it's scary. What's interesting is there was an article in the New York Times, not an article, an op-ed in the New York Times over the weekend written by somebody on the left, implying that basically holding together the United States of America as it currently exists in two camps is not going to be possible, and that we have to start looking at secession as a possibility. And I thought that was a very interesting thing to see in the pages of the New York Times.
That was in the New York Times?
That was in the New York Times. I tweeted it yesterday, so it's in my Twitter thread somewhere, my X thread.
So are they talking like actual hard secession, or are they talking like really radical, say, federalism? Like really?
It wasn't mapped out specifically. It was sort of just implied, and we're coloring in around the edges. But I think the strong suggestion, I guess the suggestion, not a strong suggestion. I said it was implied, so we'll say it was just a suggestion, was that these two blue and red Americas are becoming so bifurcated that they can't possibly hang together forever, and that we probably are realistically looking at a separation at some point. And that's about where the person left it. I wish it were fresher on my mind than this so that I could give you a better recall, but people should look it up. It's in my Twitter feed. If I could pull up my phone and scroll through, we had time, I'd do it. But
no, you got me on another thread I've been thinking about just around the edges for a while now. I think it's going to be a little bit of both, in the sense of there's going to be major centralization driven by technology. So think AI. Where whatever your political ideology, sometimes it's like when the nuke is created, like that's a centralized power that creates those things. But so you could have this massive centralization in certain, say, areas, but then on all the cultural stuff, let's just have peace, man. Like send it back local, I think would be the best of both worlds. Why does it always have to be this package deal of let's separate these things out. Let Alabama be what they are and California be what they are. And then on the really big stuff, like the AI race with the Chinese, okay, or the race for who's going to control low Earth orbit, like, okay, that's going to end up being a central power game.
Yeah, well, and the military, since we're apparently running very low on critical weaponry, that would be the biggest concern is, how do you protect what's currently constituted as the 50 states of the United States of America without that type of military power? But, it will be interesting to see these midterms coming up just because they are so tight. I mean, with the House, the Republicans have 217 seats, the Democrats have 212, and there's one independent. So it's going to be pretty close. I think the Democrats are going to take the House. I do think the Republicans will keep the Senate, though. So I don't know exactly how it'll break down, but I think they do keep it.
I agree with you. That's definitely going to happen in the near future, and we'll get a bunch of political theater of we're impeaching Trump, and then the Senate says, yeah, no, you're not. Anyway, it'll at least be somewhat entertaining. Alan, I always appreciate your time. If, again, folks want to check out your work and follow you, how can they do so?
Well, AlanMendenhall.com is my website, and my Twitter handle is pretty easy too, since it's just at Alan Mendenhall. I got in Twitter pretty early, so I was able to snag that name before any other Alan Mendenhalls ran up there and took it.
Well, like I said, appreciate the time. This 30 minutes flew by. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Joey.
Again, folks, Alan Mendenhall, like I said, he's, I look forward to our sit-downs. 272-9228 if you want to get in on the conversation. We'll be right back, hopefully with Austin Baranko of Invista Advisors.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Looking for insurance, or maybe you're just not satisfied with your current carrier? How does quality coverage with local service and competitive rates sound to you? The folks at Stark Agency offer just that. Whether you need insurance for your business, car, home, or life, Stark Agency can help. As an independent insurance agency with over 20 of the top insurance carriers, Stark is sure to find the perfect match for you and your loved ones. Visit their site at starkagency.com or give them a call at 334-263-5535 for a quote today.
This is your roving reporter. Today I'm talking with a man from outer space.
What's up, Earthling?
I see you've landed your spacecraft over there in that field.
That's right, man.
My question is, why have you landed here on our planet?
I came to see David Ernest.
The asset preservationist?
Yeah, man. I wanted to see if he would take a look at my portfolio for me.
Well, before you make the trip over there, call him on his toll-free number, 833-596-7233.
And I understand those last 4 digits spell out the word safe.
That is correct.
Funny thing happened the last time I came to Earth.
What was that?
I went to the Walmart, man.
Yes?
And I accidentally went in the back door.
How did that work out?
Well, they stopped me and very gently told me that I needed to go around front and come in.
And then what did you do?
I said, cool, man. Take me to your greeter.
You flew millions of miles just for that.
Hey, man, I don't ride them. I just read them.
Hi, I'm Carl Schmidt, naturopath and owner of the Herb Shop Wellness Center at 8161 Vaughan Road. You know, with over 30 years experience in natural wellness, I've seen countless health fads come and go. A few years ago, we added a patented technology that actually activates your stem cells. It reverses the aging process at the cellular level. However, you do need proper hydration and targeted nutrition. At the Herb Shop, our advanced scanning and testing technology allows us to accurately assess your nutritional needs and get a customized plan for you. Come in today and see what the Herb Shop can do for you.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
News and talk without the static. The River Region's most trusted voice. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go right to the phones to Austin Baranco, who is now with Waverly Advisors. Folks, Austin, how are you?
Oh, having a great Monday, Joey. How are you?
Having a great Monday as well. And let's tell folks about the change, because it used to be Invista, folks, but it's now Waverly Advisors. And let's just say y'all were great, and this just adds to what was already great.
Man, I'm so excited to be with Waverly, especially from just technology and modernization of our industry standpoint. You know, the technology they've installed and the systems that we now need to use are amazing. And, you know, another fun fact that I actually learned a couple of weeks ago is, this is just like a small tie to Montgomery, but there used to be the accounting firm, you know, Wilson Price, Baranco, Billingsley, and Blankenship back in the day, and then it merged or was acquired by Warren Averett. Well, Waverly actually is a spinoff from Warren Averett, and so it's by two of my great uncles, Bill and Carl Baranco, were founders of that firm originally, and now here I am getting acquired by their sister company years later and merging with them, and so it's kind of full circle. It's silly to see that some of the guys, you know, one of them in particular, Irby Thompson, lives here in Montgomery, but was part of that original group. And he's like, you know, it's so funny. I used to work with, you know, Bill and Carl, and now I'm working with their, you know, nephew. And it's a pretty cool connection. But I say that because Waverly is massive compared to Invista as far as the assets that we manage. You know, they're nearly $40 billion, but it's still a very small hometown feel. They're headquartered out of Birmingham. Like I said, I have relatives who have worked for an iteration of this company in the past and still have ties to people there. So even though we have all these new technologies and resources and capabilities, I can still pick up the phone and text or call the CEO, Justin, hey, question for you, and he'll respond to me. So it's like a huge company, but a small town feel still, which we really prioritized when making this decision.
And folks, this is, of course, about financial planning, about asset management. Want to say your investments managed in the right way. They can help you across the board there at Waverly Advisors. And for now, the number's still 387-0094.
Yep, that's us, and numbers aren't changing. We're in the same building. Our staff is all the same. It's just kind of a change in branding and more capability, but you got it. That's the same number.
I love that story. I think for most mornings I see Bill and Carl. And so like, it's cool to see that, that legacy is still strong. Well, also the Branco name. Y'all are so strong, man. Just so strong.
There's a lot of us around. We're, what's the word? We procreate pretty well.
Yeah. Be fruitful and multiply indeed. Well, I always appreciate your time, Austin. And folks, y'all check them out today. Waverly Advisors, 387-0094. Be sure to tell them that you heard Austin on the radio with Joey Clark.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. You have a great week.
You too. 272-9228. Got to hit another break. We'll be right back after this.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings 6 till 9 and afternoons 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Are you tired of the mainstream media's biased reporting? Do you want to stay informed on the news that really matters to you? Look no further than 1819 News. At 1819 News, we bring you the latest in Alabama news, politics, sports, culture, and more. We've assembled a team of journalists with Alabama values dedicated to the truth and the truth alone. Visit us at 1819news.com today. That's 1819news.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. Honest News, Alabama Values.
You want your floors to scream new, fresh, and stylish. But if yours are groaning, tired, old, and outdated, you're in luck. Because at Prattville Carpet, you can revitalize your floors while you save on the best brands available with perfect and professional installation and Prattville's unbeatable lifetime warranty.
Hi, I'm Ray Bowles from Prattville Carpet. If you're looking for carpet, hardwood, laminate, vinyl plank, or ceramic tile, call us today for your free measurement.
Start shopping for your floors right now at PrattvilleCarpet.com.
Prattville Carpet, we're more than just carpet.
Before you commit to that plumbing repair or upgrade, get a second opinion from Headley Plumbing. Our estimate could save you thousands. We do it all: residential, commercial, and septic tank service, serving the entire river region. No membership, no contract, just fair, reliable service. Call Headley Plumbing at 285-3667 or visit headleyplumbing.com. In our business, a flush beats a full house.
Headley Metal Buildings has been your source for quality metal buildings in the river region since 2007. Carports up to 24 feet wide, RV covers, storage buildings, even a sturdy metal barn up to 54 feet wide. Your structure can be customized, installed on level ground, and comes with a 20-year warranty. Let Headley Metal Buildings help you find the perfect solution. Financing available. Call 285-3667 for details or find Headley Metal Buildings on Facebook.
Maybe you're doing well in sales, but you're ready for something bigger. At Blue Water Broadcasting, you'll help local businesses grow with customized marketing campaigns that combine the reach of 7 radio stations with powerful digital solutions. We're looking for someone who enjoys meeting people, earning their trust, and delivering results. If you're driven, professional, and ready to build a career, not just another sales job, we should talk. Visit BlueWaterBroadcasting.com and send me your resume today. Blue Water Broadcasting, local folks helping local business.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by Alabama Wholesale Lumber. Now open from 6 to 5. Foggy or drafty windows? Alabama Wholesale Lumber's got energy-efficient replacements that'll save you money. Call their millwork pros today at Alabama Wholesale Lumber.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Get ready for another hot one today with a sun and cloud mix. High temperatures headed for the mid-90s, but with high humidity, expect the heat index today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and the rest of the week to be in the 102 to 105 range. Lows at night in the mid-70s. Some towns will get wet, but there'll be random storms around in the afternoon and evening hours each day. But you know the deal. More towns stay dry than get wet. Stay hydrated. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
Back to school shopping starts now, and ASC Credit Union has you covered. Our back to school loan helps you pay for supplies, laptops, clothes, and more. Stop by your local ASC branch or apply today at yourasccu.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Terms and conditions apply.
The River Region's first and only news talk station on FM. Live, local talk. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Let's go to Beelzebub. Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, buddy, you doing? How you been doing?
Life's all right, just all right.
Man, so how does it feel being the number one talk show in Alabama? And the reason I'm saying this is because I'm talking to you from Mobile, and I'm watching you on Facebook.
Well, it feels pretty good, especially that sort of affirmation.
So, yeah, technically you're syndicated. How's Dan doing?
Honestly, I hadn't talked to him in a while. I probably should, but I just haven't.
Yeah. I just wanted to call in. I was watching the show and everything, and just it's been a while. I'm working over here by the university in Mobile, and
what you doing?
Right now I'm painting a house. So.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
At night I work for WRKH in Mobile, WRKS. So.
Oh, very cool.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. WRKS, Mobile. Listen to all your favorite music, radio and podcasting, right here, all in one app and online. But as far as that goes, I just, I miss everybody up there, man. I miss Dan. How's Rick doing?
Doing well, I believe. Doing well. We're all chugging along. I mean, life changes, and we've seen some folks come and go here from the station, but actually, I think everybody is doing well. I know I am, and it's a journey. It's day by day sort of thing. But,
you have to be. I mean, you've filled some tremendous pair of shoes there. I mean, first Don Markwell, and then Dan Morris, and Mark Montiel, and all those guys. That sat in that studio. I mean, I knew years ago when I met you and everything, that you were going to be in that studio doing your own thing one day.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, man. I really do. And it's great hearing your voice. It takes me back to those days when I was just schlepping phone calls.
Yeah, I was a sergeant honest for Montgomery Area Musicians Association at that time, and those are some fun days. But, brother, I love you. I don't want to hold up. I just wanted to say, hey, and we're watching from Mobile, and I've got a friend of mine I've turned on. He's never even been to Montgomery, and he's now got you on his Facebook, too. So
love it. So. Keep spreading the word. Thanks, man.
All right, you take care.
Let's go to Rooster. Hey, Rooster.
Hey, Joey. I listen to your program every day, my friend.
Appreciate it.
I really do. I like what you do. But I got some information. That fellow that was on there, Mendenhall, he got it going on. I didn't hear the whole program, so I had to go see about my chickens, but I got part of it. Anyway, these guys that everybody talks about, Marks and Ingalls and all of them, nobody ever talks about who they are. They just talk about what they did and what they thought and what they wrote down and all that. Nobody knows who they are.
Oh, like their personal lives?
Well, their family. Who are they? They're Ashkenazis.
Yeah,
that's who they are, and or were rather, and and so what's going on there. All the communism come out of that group of people. And that's what we're up against
Well,
here.
my Uncle Dave, I believe, is an Ashkenazi Jew by ethnicity. Is he part of that people? Because he's not really a communist.
Well, he don't have to be a communist, but I mean that's just the bloodline that it all come out of,
Mm-hmm.
and the organization that goes with them is where all that's coming from, and the ones. And did you ever read any Henry Ford's information about it? Guess not.
No.
Okay. He wrote a book called The International Jew, and this was a long time ago. And he had a newspaper in Dearborn, Michigan, and it's called the Dearborn Independent. And he said that they caught him. I mean, you talking about the guys with little hats and all that stand in front of the wall, bobbing back and forth. He said they caught them taking the books out of the Library of Congress that had anything to do with them and handing it out through the windows to their buddies so they can get rid of the books out of the Library of Congress. So we don't know who in the hell they are. Now, have you ever read or heard about the book that came out of the Bolshevik Revolution called The Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion?
Yeah, it's a fabrication. It's deeply anti-Semitic.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is, Rooster.
It's not a fabrication.
Rooster, you got to stop it, man. Like I heard you on the earlier show too, and you sound like a black Hebrew Israelite, except the white version.
Or what?
Like like the way you interpret scripture, the way that you often your main thrust is that of race and ethnicity. Like I don't agree with you on a deep level, and so
you cannot agree, but I mean
I don't think it's right. Like especially bring up the elders of the Protocols of Zion, notoriously an anti-Semitic track.
Okay,
and a
well,
fabrication.
What about the book that I sent to Scott Beeson, and I sent another one to Terry Adams, the Harold Wallace Rosenthal interview, 1976.
I would assume it's probably not true.
Oh, really? It's an interview on TV that was recorded.
Right.
This one of them same boys up there talking about what they going to do to the Goyim. The stupid Goyim is what he called us. Are you a stupid Goyim too, boy? Well, that's what they say you are, unless you're one of them. Now,
just assume I'm one of them, man.
That's the truth, man. The truth.
No, it's not.
And why are we sacrificing all our blood and treasure for all these wars that these same people caused through their banking system and all that they imposed on us a long time ago? Huh? 700,000 men died in the war between the states because there was a sacrifice done at Mount Gomer by the Ashkenazis. And who died?
Goodness gracious,
it was
dude.
Ephraim and
Hey,
Manasseh.
Rooster, do me a favor. Don't call me ever again.
Huh?
Do me a favor. Don't call me
I
ever
won't
again.
listen to you anymore either. How about that?
That sounds great.
Pissant.
That sounds great. Good God. Yeah, don't listen. Don't call. Because that's nonsense. You call up here, say, oh, you appreciate all this stuff, and then you start spewing that. Anyway, 272-9228. 334-272-9228. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Trust Montgomery's glass experts to provide you with fast and convenient service when and where you need it. Find out how affordable independent glass can be. Free estimates on storefronts, shower doors, furniture tops, plate glass window glass, plexiglass, custom beveled mirrors, residential or commercial services. You come to them or Independent Glass will come to you. Call Independent Glass 263-2823, 263-2823, or stop by 2047 Bell Street near the entrance to Maxwell. Independent Glass.
This hour of news and views is brought to you by our good friends at Alabama Home Mortgage. Alabama Home Mortgage, 567-4223. Visit them on the web at myalabamahomemortgage.com. NMLS number 1586368, an equal housing lender.
Live, local talk. The River Region's most trusted voice for news and opinion. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. Anyway, let's go to Michael Cohen with Cohen's Electronics and Appliances. Hey, Michael, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Great, just wonderful.
See, calls like that make you appreciate the rest of the day.
Indeed it does. How's it going there at Cohen's?
It's going great. I had a couple of customers come in this morning. One guy just left. We had sold him some speakers way back when, some Definitive Technologies, and he wanted to upgrade his receiver and get a turntable. Said he was tired of spending all this money going to concerts when he could just enjoy the vinyl and do it all at home. So he came in here and got a really nice phonograph made by Victrola. Got a nice 2-channel receiver made by Integra. He should be at home hooking it up right now as we speak. But it's really cool to see the excitement that these customers have when they get a new toy that they're about to take home and get it all hooked up so they can enjoy what they already purchased from you many years ago.
Oh, yeah. And, man, spinning vinyl records, there's just, especially when you have a good stereo setup, it's unbeatable. It's still, I think, superior technology.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't. It sounds much warmer than the disc do. Of course, you get a little snap, crackle, and pop every once in a while.
Well, especially it's like how the music was intended to be made. Like something, say, from the 70s is recorded with that sort of technology in mind, as opposed to maybe Daft Punk doesn't sound the same on vinyl. You know.
Well, that's right. Yeah, there's been a lot of changes. I remember when the CDs first came out, everybody was so excited, but, the more you listen to it, you could hear differences, and all the tweaky people, they stayed in vinyl. They never left it. But you could compare them and A/B them, and huge difference back and forth.
Yeah, folks, and it could be, I bet there's even like people out there who want to go back to the cassette tape, and I imagine y'all have solutions for them there too. Like older technology, newer technology, they got you there at Cohen.
That's right. I mean, we can. I'm sure we can find the cassette tape.
No, I don't know about the 8-track. That's going to be hard to find.
Yeah, the 8-track is probably more difficult. Although each one of those formats had some cool stuff about it. The 8-track, you had those 4 tracks, which you could go and change tracks at any time, whereas a cassette you had to actually take it out, turn it around, till they came out with auto reverse.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I was the CD days for me. It was cassette tapes, then CDs, and I remember I still have an old CD jewel case with a bunch of old embarrassing stuff and some pretty awesome stuff too, man. So, folks, if you're kind of going down the audiophile memory lane and you're looking for audio solutions, or you want the latest, the best, latest technology, they got it there at Cohen's. And it's still thinkcohens.com to shop online.
Yes, sir.
And then, of course, folks can always stop by. I encourage you to stop by. 2515 Eastern Boulevard here in Montgomery. Open 9 to 6 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturdays. And find Michael and be like, hey, I heard you on that Joey Clark radio show.
And when you talk about records, a lot of our customers have records, even though they don't have a phonograph.
Right.
They've got them shoved in a closet somewhere. They've taken up storage space, and you can get one of these new Victrola turntables. Which what makes it cool is that not only does it play your records, but it can also wirelessly transmit it to Sonos speakers if you wanted to have it all through the house, or you can just have it connected up to your regular system. Come see us.
I appreciate it, Michael. As always, we'll talk again soon.
Take care.
Thanks,
Bye.
sir. Let's go to Nosh Papa real quick. Hey, Nosh Papa. How you doing?
Hey, Joey. Hey, I was just listening to your previous caller before Michael Cohen came in, and it was interesting to hear the dialogue as it progressed. And I want to commend you for you were very patient and calm and not reactive. And I think Greg Budell would have hung up quite much sooner than that. And you didn't hang up on him. But anyway, that's really all I wanted to say was I appreciate your show because, really all the shows, when people call in, you and the other hosts are open to hear opposing views and other views. And I think that is one thing that makes it interesting. I think you handled yourself very well with him, and his parting shot really showed his true colors.
Yeah, no, and, people have a right to think what they want, but it's interesting the rabbit holes folks can go down.
Well, and I commend you on being so well-read because the things he was talking about, I had no idea. And you were familiar with them, and you could respond intelligently. So thank you for that.
Well, I appreciate you, man. I got to hit my top of the hour break here. Thanks.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. We'll be right back after this. Hopefully, Dick Brubaker in studio, and then Case Dixon. He's running for Congress in District 6. Again, tomorrow is the August 11th special primary for the new congressional district. So, talking to Case, and we'll have Dick Brubaker in here talking about, in particular, the District 2 race. Y'all stay tuned.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusana, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.
With SRN News, I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. A powerful 7.4 magnitude earthquake has struck in western Colombia today, killing at least 79 people and trapping some residents under collapsed buildings. The quake hit today in San Jose del Palomar, and it was felt as far away as Bogota. Local officials confirmed significant damage in several nearby regions. Colombia's interior minister says more than 20 municipalities are affected. The Republican National Committee hosting an unusual midterm convention on September 9th and 10th in Dallas. That unusual event meant to spotlight the 2026 midterm elections. RNC's Socialism Telethon, as they're calling it, will feature recurring progressive politicians and activists via video montages to expose Democrat quote, destruction wrought by socialism. On Wall Street right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average struggling down 159. This is SRN News.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since, I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250 micro. And yes, I told
Rich Thomas Weather is brought to you by Victoryland.
Win a BMW X7 or your share of $25,000 in free play during Victoryland Casino's BMW and $25,000 free play giveaway. The more you visit, the more chances you have to win. Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too.
Rich Thomas Weather.
Well, hi, everybody. Get ready for another hot one today with a sun and cloud mix. High temperatures headed for the mid-90s, but with high humidity, expect the heat index today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and the rest of the week to be in the 102 to 105 range. Lows at night in the mid-70s. Some towns will get wet, but there'll be random storms around in the afternoon and evening hours each day. But you know the deal. More towns stay dry than get wet. Stay hydrated. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
When the heat hits to the river region, don't wait. If your AC quits, Hands Heating and Air offers same-day service, or your diagnostic charge is free with their Comfort a Day or You Don't Pay guarantee, plus 24/7 service with no overtime charges.
1819 News.
Alabama's largest Second Amendment organization is weighing in on the Congressional District 1 race. Bama Carey is endorsing Austin Sidwell as he runs in that special primary election, which will be held this coming Tuesday. Bama Carey Vice President Taylor Rhodes said that Sidwell is a pro-gun candidate who will not back down to the pressures from the D.C. swamp. Sidwell celebrated this endorsement, saying there is no need for any government oversight on how someone chooses to protect their family. This special primary election involves a winner-take-all election with no runoff race possible. Tomorrow's special primary election involves congressional districts 1, 2, 6, and 7, and will be using an old congressional district map from 2023 after a U.S. Supreme Court ruling earlier this year cleared the way for the state to do so. I'll be back with more Alabama stories after this.
Mark your calendar for November 6th. The Albert Patterson Gala returns to the Barber Motorsports Museum featuring United States Senator Tommy Tuberville. We've sold out 2 years running and tables are already filling for 2026. If you believe in a thriving Alabama built on truth, courage, and accountability, this is your night. Don't miss your chance. Visit 1819news.com/gala. That's 1819news.com/gala to get your table today.
A pedestrian died in Huntsville this morning after being hit by a vehicle on University Drive. The pedestrian has been identified only as a male who died at the scene. An Albertville police officer has now been terminated from his job after he was discovered to be using law enforcement databases to track his ex-wife's movement. Jeremy Hanna was arrested after the Marshall County District Attorney conducted an investigation. Hanna is accused of accessing multiple databases to look up the information on his ex-wife and her family members. He's being charged with violating the Alabama Digital Crimes Act. I'm Andrea Tice.
For more news affecting Alabamians, go to 1819news.com. And while you're there, subscribe to the daily newsletter.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
We get this question all the time.
Do you handle that?
Buying or selling a home?
Yes.
Commercial?
Yes.
Land or investments?
Absolutely. Hannah and Eddie Realty Group. One team.
Every real estate move. 334-322-0662.
The views and opinions of the following program are solely those of the host and other contributors. These do not necessarily represent those of Liberty Acquisitions 825, Blue Water Broadcasting, its management, staff, or any advertisers. It's time for Montgomery's conversational radio show. It's News and Views on News Talk 93.1 FM. To join the conversation, call 272-9228.
Joey Clark.
Welcome in to the final hour of the program. Let's go right to the phones and talk to Case Dixon. He is, of course, a candidate running for Congress in District 6. He's going up against Gary Palmer, challenging Congressman Palmer. Case, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Joey. How are you doing?
Very good. And we've moved into the congressional hour. We actually have Dick Brubaker here in studio with me, going to talk about District 2. But I want to address your race first and really just give you the floor for your final pitch. Everybody needs to get out there and vote tomorrow on August the 11th. And why should they vote for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look right now, Congress has an abysmal approval rating. And the reason why is because they're not actually addressing the issues that are affecting most Alabamians and Americans. I mean, we see right now prices continue to rise, whether it's healthcare, groceries, housing, you name it. And we're very soon going to cross $40 trillion in our U.S. national debt. And I believe that is the number one driver of the affordability crisis that we see today. And so I disagree with my opponent on several of his votes concerning our national debt and spending. And I view spending as the real tax because, you know, you can do tax cuts galore, and I support tax cuts. But tax cuts without spending cuts are null and void because if you continue to spend taxpayer dollars, they're going to pay for it either through higher inflation or taxes at a later date. And so while Congressman Palmer likes to talk about the tax cuts last summer with the big, beautiful bill, he's not going to tell you about how he voted to raise the debt ceiling by $5 trillion, the largest debt ceiling in U.S. history. And so I think it's time that District 6 has someone that has a spine and can stand up to Washington, stand up to the swamp, and truly fight for the people of Alabama and fight for the people of District 6. And look, I've got a personal stake in the future because I've got two young daughters. I've got a 2-year-old daughter, and I've got a 1-year-old daughter, and I've got my wife that I have to take care of. I work full-time in healthcare, and it's hard in today's economy. And so, you know, sometimes folks, they ask me, how do we know that you're actually going to follow through with what you say you're going to do? I'm like, look, take a look right here. These are my incentives. The consequences that Congress, the consequences of the actions that Congress takes today is going to affect my family for decades to come. So that's how you know that I'll actually follow through.
Well, and it does sound like, though, just to underline the point, you're saying that you would go against the party. And you know how much, especially having campaigned, and maybe it's just to the detriment of politics, but how much of it's a team sport. And we need you for these key votes. You're saying, especially on big issues like the debt and maybe some questions of war and across the board, you would be willing to say, stand on principle, even if a Republican president is saying, I'll primary you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we saw that with Congressman Massey over there in Kentucky, and we've seen that Marjorie Taylor Greene dropped out. And, you know, several other people tend to fall in line whenever leadership comes knocking because they'd rather stay in Washington than what I perceive as truly fight for what we know to be right and what we know to be true. And so I wouldn't be, you know, at the times I go against the party. Look, I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative because of the principles that the party stands for. And so when the folks in leadership stray from those principles, I'm going to still be right there, standing on the same principles, standing on the Constitution, standing on the Christian faith. And whenever they decide to come on back, I'll still be there. So,
well, and no matter what happens tomorrow, and again, folks, get out and vote tomorrow. And this is especially in District 6. I guess Elmore County is still part of that district, parts of Elmore County, and a lot of folks in the listening audience, at least north of the radio studio here. But, I mean, what's this experience been like, the campaigning?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, I've learned so much just from meeting people face-to-face and truly understanding what the concerns are in each district. But then also, too, just the importance of actually getting out and seeing some areas that are not, you know, congressional districts are very large. And so the needs in Jefferson County and Gardendale are going to be different than the needs in Bibb County, and they're going to be different than the needs in Autauga and even the little portion of Talladega County there. So it's been very, I don't know, it's been a great learning process. And I think it's really given me the appreciation for the country that we live in, the diversity that we have, but also the need for representation that truly stands for the people.
Well, and also, I got to remind folks, you know, as you were going, you know, grassroots canvassing, going door to door, getting to know folks, you actually had to fend off an attack from an animal, a dog.
Yes. Oh man, that was a story. And look, usually good stories come from an unfortunate event from what I see. And that was my case. I was going door knocking, trying to meet voters at their homes and solicit maybe a vote or just let them know about the campaign. And, this one lady had a very, very aggressive and protective dog and lunged right at me, trying to go for the jugular, it seemed. And so I had to hit him with the right hook in the side of the head. And in doing so, I did not get bitten, but I did end up with a crushed right knuckle. So that put me out for a little bit. I didn't quit knocking doors, but I was a little bit handicapped, certainly.
What kind of dog was this?
I'm not sure. It looked to be some sort of pit bull mix.
Oh.
Not trying to, characterize here, but I'm just calling it how I see it.
No, that should earn you a few votes right there. You gave a right hook essentially to a pit bull.
There you go.
It shows. It
Good
shows
practice
commitment.
for Congress.
I might have been traumatized, not knocking on doors.
No, I
after
still
that.
gave her the card though too. As I'm backing up, I just kind of tossed it, and I was like, "Vote for me," and just kind of ran away.
Give him the Senator Charles Bishop Boxing Award.
Well, Case, if folks really want to get out there, I encourage them to just go vote tomorrow, because I know just getting to know you over this time, you've put in a lot of work, a lot of time. And I wish you the best tomorrow.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Just my final thing I would like to say to the voters is, look, at least familiarize yourself with both candidates. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but take a look at Congressman Palmer's record, specifically the spending, FISA 702, his views on term limits and things that we've strayed from there, some promises. But at least familiarize yourself. And if you decide not to vote for me after that, I can live with that. But at least know who you're voting for tomorrow on August 11th.
Case Dixon, folks, and I appreciate you, Case.
Appreciate you having me on. Y'all take care.
You too. Again, Case Dixon in District 6, and now moving from that to District 2. We're going to talk a little District 2. Dick Brubaker's in the studio with me. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. Back to Case, it takes a lot of courage to run against any incumbent. And I've known Gary a long time, but trying to take on any congressional incumbent, especially at a grassroots campaign where all the easy money is going to go to whoever is viewed as the establishment candidate. You got to give him, good for you. Get out there and take a swing. And that's what we need more of in the Republican Party. Contested primaries,
yes,
clarify people's stances on issues, and it's good for the system. Win or lose, running for office is one of the best things you can do for democracy. It raises voter interest, and right now the Republicans, guys, we have got to improve our voter performance. I mean, the voter participation in CD2 has been going the wrong way for the last couple of election cycles, and hopefully we can begin to turn that around tomorrow. If you live in the 2nd Congressional District, elections tomorrow, it's important. Go vote, go vote, go vote. And this is an interesting field of candidates we've got. You've got one, the establishment is clearly behind Rhett Marcus.
Yes.
He's gotten the endorsements, and especially the corporate endorsements. And he has been opposed by a big field of people, but it looks like Hampton Harris has, the last poll I saw showed that, Hampton could win this thing. And Rhett, I've been a little disappointed with his campaign, mainly because instead of running on his record, he, especially in his political advertisement, in my opinion, he's chosen to mislead voters about what's actually going on. We need to do a lot of work in the legislature, people that are representing us. And Rhett is unfortunately one of those guys whose voting record needs a good long look. The gas tax, I talk about that a lot because it's sort of the bellwether of how the Republican Party has changed. Mm-hmm. Starting in 2018, before that, you could count on the fact that the majority of Republicans would not vote for a tax increase that directly impacted working families. Now, on small local stuff, they might vote for local tax increases, but when it came to an across-the-board tax that was going to hit working families where it really hurts. They just weren't going to go for it. But that was all swept away in 2018 with the gas tax. And Representative Marcus voted for that gas tax. And look, y'all, when I was running a car dealership, I had 90-odd employees. Probably 40% of them lived in other counties and drove in every day.
Yeah.
And just think about that. Since 2018, your state, just the state portion of the gas tax on every gallon of gas you buy, has gone from 18 cents to 30 cents a gallon. Now, if you're a working parent and you live out in, Crenshaw County and you're driving into Montgomery every day to work, that is a hard hit.
It's a lot of money.
A 67% increase on the state portion of the gas tax that you've got to pay every time you fill up your tank, and that's bad. Anybody who's claiming he's for working people and votes for a tax like that, and especially when you consider the worst thing about that bill is that the tax automatically goes up every 2 years. It's going to go up again next year. It's slated to go up another penny. And there is so much money flooding into the state for road projects that instead of projects going around looking for money, we have money going around looking for projects.
Right.
And that is not the way to have people keeping a good eye on how they spend the taxpayers' money. And Rhett has run every ad I've seen of his, I cut taxes. Well, no, you didn't. And, defend your vote. And you can defend the gas tax vote, I guess. I don't know exactly how, but you can. And
when he was on, he did defend it to a degree.
Well, what he's
essentially saying we needed these projects.
Well, I would accept that if they didn't have the automatic increase built in. I mean, that's the real problem. If there's specific road projects that you want to do, make your pitch to the taxpayers, and let's vote on it. Right. But what you don't do is hit them for an extra 10 cents today and then say every 2 years with no more votes, without the legislature having to do anything, it's just going to keep going up from now until the end of time.
And having interviewed a lot of, at least three of them. I've interviewed Hampton a few times, David Matthews. I've interviewed now Rhett once. Is we're Republicans, so it's not splitting hairs, but you have to make distinctions. And this is maybe a unfair way in some people's minds. Angie Horn, please don't curse me out. Though I can take it, I'm a big boy. Rhett comes across as like he was made in a corporate Republican factory. Maybe that's not who the man is personally, but that's the presentation.
Well, but that's the way he's voted, too.
Yeah, and exactly.
And, and some of the things I just don't understand, as everybody knows who follows politics. Another example, the State Department of Mental Health tried to get a hold of some money that was federal money that was meant to be spent on veterans' mental health.
Yes.
And the head of the Veteran Affairs Department objected, Admiral Davis, and it ended up, I think, with an ethics complaint. So immediately from the governor, from the executive branch, come all these accusations that Admiral Davis, had been misappropriating money. And now, by the way, an audit was done, and all that was proven not to be true.
Right.
None of those charges stuck. So it was all lies to begin with. But what does the legislature do, including Representative Marcus? They voted to take Veterans Affairs away from veterans. And now it's going to be run by a political appointee appointed by the governor. So the next time the executive branch wants to grab a hold of money that was earmarked for veterans, there won't be anybody there to object.
Right.
And that's just not good government. It's not Republican government. I mean, I served in the Alabama Guard. My son's active duty in the Army now. And Republicans have always been really great when it comes to standing up for veterans. I mean, Katie Britt has led just a crusade trying to improve things over at the VA.
Sure.
And I give her high marks for that. Go, Katie, go. But to vote to take Veterans Affairs away from a board dominated by veterans and hand it over to a political appointee, it's just not the way Republicans usually think about politics.
Well, and it makes me also think because he had just been elected because he took essentially Barry Moore's spot, right? You served in that building.
Yeah, sure.
And, there's this whole idea before you lead, you need to learn to obey. And I've heard, stories about the caucus meetings, and especially when the gas tax came up, what the governor wanted. I mean, beyond the specific issues, I imagine it's even worse in the Congress.
Oh, yeah.
The sort of pressure you get to be a quote-unquote team player.
Well, if, the Alabama legislature is sort of like single-A baseball. And if you can't take the pressure there when the stakes are lower, you're certainly not going to be able to take it in D.C. where the stakes are much higher. And it is, this Republican supermajority is dominated by corporate thinking Republicans. And Rhett is just one of those guys. Another example is the Public Service Commission.
That recent bill, yeah.
What now?
The recent change in law. And
we used to be able to vote for 3 out of 3 commissioners. So the people had a sort of a handle on the regulatory commission that's supposed to deal with, Alabama Power and the other utilities. Well, I guess the powers that be decided that the people being able to vote and having the final say was a bad thing, because the law that the legislature passed that Rhett voted for, now instead of being able to vote for 3 out of 3, you get to vote of 1 of 7. But even the decisions of that elected council can be overridden by this new Secretary of Energy that's a political appointee.
Yeah.
So whatever small amount of control the public had over their power bills, that's gone too. And that is, Republicans generally have been in favor of keeping government not only small, but as close to the voters as we can do and still have a functioning government. The corporate guys don't think that way. I mean, the fact this open-ended gas tax is just saying, I want government to not only be bigger than it is now, I want it to keep getting bigger.
Well, and they seem to be the types that when we have to balance the budget, it's required by law to balance the budget here. That means we need more revenue.
Well, and with all the things we've talked about so far, all that took place in the context of the state having the most revenue it has ever had.
Right. It's a spending problem. It's not a revenue problem.
Well, exactly right. And, when you're electing a congressman, you want to think that you want to elect somebody who is going up there to represent not merely the corporate interests of your state, but those parents raising kids, those people working hard, trying to make a living, and you want someone who's got his eye on them. What's best for them? And a guy that, whether it's the 8M bill or the Blue Cross Blue Shield bill or the PSC or the gas tax, who's voted the other way every single time, you've got to think twice before you vote for that guy, especially if you're going to promote him.
Oh, yeah.
So, I would, if you vote tomorrow, but I would think very carefully about, I'm going to vote for Hampton Harris. He has got, they say, as an old saying, if you're afraid of getting a rotten apple, you don't get it out of the barrel, you take it off the tree to make sure you get one that's not rotten. Mm-hmm. Hampton is he's a young guy. He's got very strong personal convictions about liberty and small government. And, he is not in with the political crowd. But in my opinion, that's a good thing. And
and I might have told folks on Friday after I heard the story and I read it with Hampton sitting here, that Randy Brinson wrote up about what happened in Eufaula in Barber County, where
that's not great.
They were dropping F-bombs and cursing out Hampton for sharing true things. And I don't know, for me, it just went to a point of I don't like the behind-the-scenes bullying, and I don't like the sense of entitlement of, how dare you put out an effective mailer? That's what we do.
Well, see, that's the other end of this. There is a real sense of entitlement that seems to come off Rhett's campaign, and I think he would have, frankly, done better just standing up and defending what he's done rather than trying to create a persona of someone that he's not. And the sense of entitlement shows in that outburst. Now, I wasn't there, so I'm not saying anything from firsthand. But And on the other hand, as someone who's been in business I ran a car dealership for a long time, had a bunch of employees. It bothers me to see someone who wants our trust, especially someone who's saying, I'm going to raise your taxes. I'm going to vote, and I want you to pay those taxes, who apparently doesn't pay his own. And this is an article out of, let's see here, written by Christopher Peaks. Representative Rep Marcus raises your taxes while failing to pay his. Let's see. Tax liens were filed against Rep Marcus's properties across the years 2005, 2006, 2007, 2010, 2011. These liabilities accumulated through both federal and state filings with the following amounts. Federal tax liens, $8,000 in 06, $13,000 in April of 06, $38,000 in 07, $20,000 in August of 2011, and it goes on. There are 11 of them.
Wow.
And, I was a businessman for a long time. That's a lot of tax liens. And if you're going to ask other people to pay their taxes, you should definitely pay yours. And I'm not saying this makes him a bad guy. Maybe he just had a bad business clerk. But 11 liens over a long period of time, it's a pattern. And we need people who take the little things seriously. I mean, to be honest means to tell the truth and act truthfully in everything that you do. And it concerns me that we have got a political climate in Alabama that is rewarding guys who care a lot more about corporations than they care about families. And believe me, families in Alabama are under pressure. And the people we send to the state legislature and the people we send to Congress need to be people who put families first. And I don't think that's Rhett. Frankly, in my opinion, it's Hampton, but there are, 6 candidates in that race?
Yeah, right. How's the vote going to split up?
Before you vote tomorrow, go through, get on your phone and examine these candidates, stand on the issues. If they've got voting records, check those votes. Sure. And also see, are they people who have been involved in Republican politics previously? If they're the type of candidate who haven't voted in the last 2 or 3 elections and who have never donated a penny to another Republican, I'd be careful about voting for any of those guys, too.
Now, and expanding this out, too, because it can often get down to the dollars and cents, like that say, corporate Republican distinction we keep making.
Yeah.
But I brought up with him and pushed back when I talked to Rhett about the IVF stuff, where I admit I have complex feelings because I know people who have a child now.
Right, sure.
Because IVF. But then
So
I
do
also am deeply, profoundly on a moral level, but also practical level about if we don't get the standard right of what human life is, it's not a child until you put it into a woman's womb. It's not a human. Like, okay, are we talking about all sorts of stuff that can be done with that embryo?
Right.
And where the technology's going, I'd say this to Katie Britt. I'd say this to anybody up there who's made IVF. I get why they're championing it. I do, on many levels. But if we are not careful with where the technology's going, we will see man-made horrors if we're allowed to treat human life as though it's not human life.
The reason, if you haven't read the Christian Coalition's endorsement of Hampton Harris, you should. You can find it online easily enough. But what it turned on was that in Rhett's interview, he said he doesn't believe that life begins at conception, that it begins with implantation, I think is the way he put it. And I understand the reason that the people who really push in vitro fertilization are uncomfortable with that standard. Because, as you know, when someone is undergoing that process, and look, I think it should be, I am all for people having babies. If IVF is the only way they can do it, I'm all for them having that opportunity. But what I'm not for is in that process, fertilizing 10 embryos, and you get pregnant. What do you do? What do you do with the other 9?
Right.
Now, do we? There are people in the medical community who say they want those because they want to do research on them, and anything that devalues human life is a step backwards for the human race.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why, whether you look at, if you look at the philosophy behind National Socialism, the Nazi Party in Germany, very early on, they began to dehumanize groups of people. Like, I'll give you an example that's current in Europe. One of the Scandinavian countries was bragging like it was a great thing that there were no babies with Down syndromes born in their country over the past year. Goodness. Oh, what? So they aborted all the Down children? I mean, so they have made a values decision that these babies, and these babies are implanted in their mother's wombs, are going to be destroyed because they don't live up to our standards. Well, for those of you who are nodding and saying, well, I can kind of see that, well, think about it. That standard can be changed. That's just a bunch of doctors sitting around in a room deciding what next. Are we going to say that children who are born whose IQs aren't above 100, are we going to eliminate them?
Yeah.
Is geography the only safeguard here, inside the womb and outside the womb? Well, that line has already been crossed, even in the United States. And so when it comes to how we define human life, we need to elevate our humanity to the highest level that we can. And it does disturb me that we have people running as Republicans who don't believe that life begins in conception.
Right. And, after I push Red, he's like, well, I think if I pushed Senator Britt on this, like, folks would immediately go, well, I don't want to do the test tube babies things, or like, seriously, the thought experiment of you could create a clone you could harvest organs from that isn't fully alive, so to speak, with consciousness like a brain and stuff. Like, you can think of, and people think this is sci-fi stuff. It's not anymore. It's here. Like, I can't imagine the stuff that's going on in China right now.
Oh, yeah. And
it's crazy.
When it comes to technology, especially medical technology, just because, science is great, but it answers the question, what can we do? What's possible? That's the question science answers for us. But science has nothing to say about the even more important question of what should we do?
Amen.
And what we should do is a question where a person's individual morality is going to matter. I mean, there are probably people listening to this radio show who think, there are people out there on a long waiting list for lungs and kidneys, and if they can grow a human without a functioning mind and grow those organs and give them those people, I think that's all right. I hope they're not, but I'm telling you they probably are. And everything starts, if we give ground on human life beginning at conception, if we suddenly say, well, it's okay if we define it later on, and if right now you've got Republicans who say, well, I define it as when it's implanted in a uterus, that's when human life begins. Well, that same group of people can decide tomorrow to make another decision. But I define human life as 12 weeks after it's been, so we can abort it up to 12 weeks.
Right.
And it all began with dehumanizing a person right at the beginning.
And then you see the other side of where, to your point about science doesn't tell us what we should do, but then science can do amazing things. I don't want to belittle this. My brother's wife is a fellow at Vanderbilt right now in the NICU and neonatal unit, and she sent him a photo because he doesn't always, he's like, what are you doing there? Because he's out doing sales stuff. And she sent a photo for their children they can now save that are so young, premature, that the diapers for him she could hold in the palm of her hand.
Right. Yeah.
And it's incredible that
Yeah.
that's the work your wife does, that my sister-in-law does. It's remarkable work. And then so science can help create miracles and bring out the beauty of life.
Sure.
But I do worry, like on a profound level, there is this. You see the temptation to end a life with like what the Canadians are already doing, what California wants to try to do with euthanasia, where it's always the excuse of, well, the suffering is not worth it. And the suffering, and sometimes suffering is just an inconvenience.
Yeah.
But suffering is not worth it, so you should just end it.
Well, and even with the Canadian, what's it called, SEER program or something like that, they've already have Canadians lining up accusing hospitals of ending their relatives' life without their consent.
Right.
So this whole thing that started off as it's got to be consensual, everybody involved has to agree, including the patient and the family. Well, the Canadians who are under that program are saying that's not happening. You've just got medical people deciding on their own, and the family walks in one day and the machines are off.
Right.
And, that is a slippery slope that we just don't need to get on. And the way to stay off of those slippery slopes is to place the highest possible value on humanity, on human life. Amen. And listen, I don't mean to sound doctrinaire about this, but I have a disabled child. I have been in an obstetrics room with my wife, having a doctor said, your child is going to be born and the prognosis is bad. It's going to change your life with having a child with a severe disability. And then they look you in the eye and say, but it can all go away.
Yep.
All you got to do is get in your car and go to Atlanta and it can all go away. So, believe me, that emotional moment, I've been in it.
It's a trial.
And, and Ben, who is my disabled son, has been a great joy to my life. But I don't say anything lightly. That's my point.
Right.
But just because something makes your life not turn out exactly the way you thought doesn't mean it's not going to turn out better. And
Amen.
To wipe these people out of our society just because they have disabilities, it's a sin, if anything ever was a sin.
Yeah.
And do we kill? Well, anyway, it's probably
I
enough about
appreciate you
IVF.
sharing that. Appreciate you sharing that. I got to hit a break here. This part of the program brought to you by Alabama Home Mortgage, and they're at Alabama Home Mortgage. Kim Williams and Madeline Cannon ready to help you, whether you're looking to buy a home or refinance your current home. Say you've got plenty of equity built up there. Well, whatever your goal might be, it could be to get debt off your back or shore up a retirement fund or go on that dream vacation or reinvest in the house itself. They can help you with that refinance deal, and especially if you're a veteran, they can help you take advantage of the VA mortgage programs you veterans earn through your service. That also applies to purchasing a home, and they can walk you through the home buying process from pre-approval all the way to closing day. Whether it's your first time or maybe it's not your first rodeo, but you didn't enjoy the big bank, say, experience before, or some other big company, get with a great local company, Alabama Home Mortgage. You can always call them direct at 567-4223. That's 567-4223. Or you can visit them on the web. Apply online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. There is a difference in mortgage companies. Let Kim and Madeline prove that to you today. NMLS number 15863668, an equal housing lender.
He may not know whether he's coming or going, but whether you're going to work or coming home, Greg Budell is there. Mornings, 6 till 9, and afternoons, 3 till 6. Only on News Talk 93.1 FM, WACV.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have a health reminder from the CDC.
Pneumococcal vaccination is recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose. And millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
For many homeowners, there's untapped reserves hiding in plain sight. It's not in the savings account. It's not in the stock market. It's right under your roof. Now more than ever, homeowners are sitting on record levels of home equity, and that equity belongs to you. It can be used to consolidate high-interest credit card debt, to pay expensive school tuition, to cover medical expenses, to invest in renovations, you name it, because that money is yours. This isn't about taking on unnecessary debt. It's about using an asset you already own to improve your financial position and your quality of life. The key is understanding your options and choosing the strategy that fits your goals. Let's see what's possible with the equity in your home. Give us a call at Alabama Home Mortgage today at 334-567-4223 or visit us online at myalabamahomemortgage.com. That's Alabama Home Mortgage, because there is a difference in mortgage companies. NMLS 1586368, Equal Housing Lender.
What are you getting? Still deciding, but I do know on August 11th, I'm choosing Rhett Marcus for Congress. Why Rhett Marcus? Because he's a true conservative, endorsed by President Trump and Senator Katie Britt. Oh, then you can trust him. And he's a small business owner, not a politician. Sounds like this choice on August 11th is the easiest decision we'll ever make.
Remember to vote on August 11th. I'm Rhett Marcus, the Trump-endorsed candidate for Congress, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Rhett for Alabama.
WAKA, Blue Water Broadcasting, Ty and Dal Incorporated, and Piggly Wiggly Food for Less invite you to help us stuff the truck on Saturday, August 22nd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sturbridge Piggly Wiggly Food for Less. Donate non-perishable food, classroom supplies, or cash to help local students facing food insecurity and support our teachers. Visit WAKA.com for a shopping list and stop by our community resource fair for valuable services and information for River Region families. Together, we can stuff the truck and strengthen our community.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
What's your biggest investment? More than likely, it's your home. So treat it that way when you hire a painting contractor. With PBS Painting, there are no gimmicks, no $99 specials. Just quality painting and someone who treats your home with the same respect that you do. At PBS Painting, we have been painting for years and look forward to many more years to come. With PBS Painting, the job gets prepped properly, whether it's cleaning, scraping, or priming. We always use quality products, which is a must for a quality paint job. So if you're looking for a painter that doesn't need upfront money and is on the job at all times, then please give me a call. Scott Bowers and PBS Painting, 294-5122. That's PBS Painting, 294-5122. Look at some of our work on Facebook at PBS Painting Montgomery.
The Rich Thomas Weather Network is brought to you by Ernest Financial.
If you're tired of losing your money in the stock market, call David Ernest, 334-279-7431. Ernest Financial, LLC.
Rich Thomas weather.
It's a pretty typical summertime evening forecast with a few random storms here and there, but few and far between. Overnight low temperature tonight in the mid-70s. Tomorrow, even more schools get underway. Expect a sun and cloud mix with a high temperature tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and through the end of the week, generally in the mid-90s with a daily heat index between 100 and 105. Spotty, random, scattered showers and storms in the afternoon and evening hours each day. From the Blue Water Weather Center, this is Rich Thomas.
The River Region's News Talk Station. News Talk 93.1, WACV. News Talk 93.1.
Joey Clark.
Welcome back. So, folks, I ran across something. Again, in studio with us, we have Dick Brubaker. I ran across this phenomenon. I'm like, what am I going to write about this week? And I remembered that Coach Tuberville, at least him or his staff or whatever, this is how these things work, post a Bible verse every Sunday on Facebook. And when I first saw that, I'm like, oh, that's great. Like somebody who's just a prominent figure Share them for the book of Jeremiah.
Right.
Share them for the book of Hebrews. Like, all this is great. And then I started looking at comments. And so I ended up writing this. Quoting the Bible is always perilous. The perils are manyfold. You will be mocked, ridiculed, accused, and suspected. You will be despised, humiliated, forgotten, and rejected. You may even see friends and family go quiet and cold, and no doubt you will be told, now's not the time, now's not the place, become a preacher, leave that stuff for Sundays. Yet even on Sunday, the world will still find a way to swiftly and uncharitably judge, especially if your name is Tommy Tuberville. Every Sunday, Coach Tuberville posts a Bible verse on his Facebook account, and every Sunday, the judgments of the world fill the comment section like clockwork, essentially saying, how dare Tommy Tuberville quote the Bible? Here's a small sample of the phenomenon. On Sunday, January 11th, 2026, Coach posted Hebrews 4:16. Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may obtain mercy and find grace to help in time of need. Wow, he can copy and paste, said one commenter. The devil can quote scripture, but it doesn't mean anything to him, said another. Is he running for pastor or governor, asked another. On Sunday, February 1st, 2026, Coach posted 1 Samuel 2:2. No one is holy like the Lord, for there is none besides you, nor is there any rock like our God. Who picks out your Bible verses for you, Florida man? One commenter asked. I'll take separation of church and state for $1,000, Alex, said another. On Sunday, June 21st, 2026, Coach posted Psalm 103:13. As a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him. Do y'all red hats get some email with Bible verses to quote for the day? Question mark, exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point. One comment reads, some independent thinking might make folks take you more seriously. That's, again, folks, a small sample. And, of course, many people have appreciated Tuberville Sunday quotes. And many have expressed their disappointment there isn't more universal appreciation for sacred scripture being shared by such a prominent public figure, political affiliation aside. But let's be honest, this phenomenon isn't unique to Tuberville. Conservatives often mock, ridicule, accuse, and rebuke liberals who quote the Bible as well, though I suspect we might find Republicans, Democrats, independents, and especially libertarians in the ranks of hell. And the strife over shared scripture goes well beyond partisan politics. As a wise friend told me after my recent reversion back to faith, Joey, if you're tired of worldly politics, you better get ready for church politics. Just wait. But perhaps we shouldn't chalk all this up as yet another corruption or downside of social media, partisan politics, or man's crooked bent. Perhaps the friction of faith and politics in the public square isn't a reason to go quiet, give up, resign, or lament. Perhaps social media is actually doing us a service. A mirror revealing in real time just how judgmental we, the world, can be, showing all the ways the enemy scatters us from our communion with one another even as we share the holy sayings we've received. Yes, the perils of spreading the word are manyfold. You will be suspected, rejected, and told you've grown much too bold, yet the world's judgments and the rebukes of men will not be our judge in the end. Indeed, the man who does quote the Bible anytime, any place, at any hour of any day shouldn't worry about the peril of what the world may say. He should worry if the word he gives he has actually humbly received, that the word he's heard he's truly believed. Quoting the Bible is always perilous, but the greatest perils come from within, for commenters, commentators, preachers, and politicians. So I now ask myself, do I quote the word to be esteemed, to be extolled, to be loved, to be honored, praised, or approved? Some days I guess I do. But despite my own falsity and sin, I hope the world knows the word will judge true in the end.
Who wrote that? You wrote that? That's awesome.
Oh, thanks, man.
That is great. And in politics, there is a line.
Oh, yeah.
And the faith is not, it can never be a means.
Right.
And if a politician is using religion as a means for them to achieve elected office, that's not great. I mean, on Judgment Day, how do you defend bending Jesus to your political org?
Right.
You can't. But on the other hand, I don't want anybody representing me in Congress who is made uncomfortable by somebody if somebody just gets out there and says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, and they're suddenly defensive or uncomfortable,
right?
Or
something like Hebrews, 16.
Right.
Let us therefore come boldly to the throne of grace. What does that have to do with politics? It doesn't.
Well, and none of the verses, at least the sampling you gave, are the ones that could be. They're sort of let's all come together verses.
Right. Yeah.
The fatherhood of God, and but it is politics could use some absolute values right now.
Amen.
And the only place those come from is God the Father.
Amen.
And just simple things. I mean, it's just telling the truth about what you've done in the past, what you intend to do in the future. That's important. It's what makes democratic dialogue possible.
Well, and there's something I heard the vice president say, and he did his book tour about his book, about him coming to his faith. He said, especially after talking, he's Catholic, talking to the Vatican.
Right.
He really had an issue. It was all platitudes. And he's like, I wish, as there is this resurgence of faith in many different traditions and denominations, and you're seeing, Islam making footholds and all sorts of stuff. He's like, I really wish as this is happening, the church would speak with confidence at the table again. Instead of, to your point, this sort of kumbaya, it could be a Mamas and the Papas pop song from the 70s.
Well, and, there is, people are losing the ability to discern. Anyone who thinks that two statements that both claim to be true that contradict both can't be true.
Right.
And from the Christian side, either Jesus is Lord or he's not.
Amen.
And if for Muslims who want to demand equal time, but Christians have taken tolerance to the absolute extreme degree to where, like it says in the scripture, if the salt loses its taste, what's it good for? Nothing, just be thrown out and trampled.
It's one thing,
and that's what you see happening to that kind of
Yeah, and it's
faith.
one thing to say that you believe in religious liberty. I certainly do. I think the First Amendment's amazing. But I would like to see somebody, doesn't have to go out his way, say it every day. I'd like somebody like Doug Jones to say Islam's false.
Yeah, exactly. And which it is.
You don't have to be mean towards Muslims personally,
Right.
but I think your theology's false.
Well,
and,
it's
I've got to hit a break here. Quick break. We'll be right back.
Want to carry News Talk in your pocket? Download the News Talk 93.1 app from the App Store. Available on iPhone and Android. Never miss a moment. Download now.
Hi, I'm Carl Schmidt, naturopath and owner of the Herb Shop Wellness Center at 8161 Vaughan Road. With over 30 years experience in natural wellness, I've seen countless health fads come and go. A few years ago, we added a patented technology that actually activates your stem cells. It reverses the aging process at the cellular level. However, you do need proper hydration and targeted nutrition. At the Herb Shop, our advanced scanning and testing technology allows us to accurately assess your nutritional needs and get a customized plan for you. Come in today and see what the Herb Shop can do for you.
For too long, Alabama's statewide news companies have shamed us for our conservative Christian values. Alabama deserves a news company that cherishes our culture, a company that isn't bought and paid for by the powers that be. 1819 News is that company. Run by Alabamians for Alabamians, 1819 News celebrates what is good and beautiful about our state, while exposing those who work against our values in secret. Just go to 1819news.com to learn more. Subscribe to our newsletter. That's 1819news.com.
It's 3 a.m. There's a leak in your ceiling and you are officially out of Tupperware.
Honey, the turkey roaster is full. Pass me the blender.
Stop the Midnight Bucket Brigade. Call Capital City Roofing. Capital's experienced team provides dependable roof repairs and replacements with quality workmanship and a commitment to doing the job right. Don't let a leaky roof ruin your sleep or your cookware. Call 334-277-3311 or visit CapitalCityRoofing.com. Roofs built right, relationships built to last.
This hour of News and Views is brought to you by our good friends at Cole Plumbing, 279-8919. Cole Plumbing is number one in the number two business. You don't have to dig a hole. They have proprietary pipelining technology. Ask them about their tankless water heaters. Remember, when you have trouble with your bowl, call on Cole.
Live local talk. The River Region's only 24-hour News Talk FM station. News Talk 93.1 FM WACV.
Final moments. This part of the program brought to you by Prattville Carpet. I couldn't get Ray on the phone. He must be busy. But if you're looking for a new floor, carpet, or it could be like you want ceramic tile in the kitchen or in the bathroom, traditional hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, any sort of floor, they pretty much can handle it for you, folks. You just need to call them up at 285-8117. They'll come by for a free in-home measurement. You pick out the product you want to lay down, and they get the job done. Just that simple. And that's 285-8117. And be sure to tell them Joey, that fellow on the radio, sent you. I'm pretty much out of time. This hour flew by. Thank you for being here.
That was fun.
Dick Brubaker in studio. We got to do this more often. I enjoyed this.
Yeah, let's do it. Go vote, everybody. Tomorrow's the day.
Go vote tomorrow. Special primary election. Happy hour with Greg Budell. He's next.
Broadcasting from the Riverside Chevrolet Master Control Center, this is WACV Cusada, News Talk 93.1 FM. When it's Chevy, it's Riverside.